What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this coming week's title fight at 122 pounds between Naoya Inoue and TJ Doheny. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. And if you haven't already, could you please hit the notification button? If you like the content that I create, what this will allow me to do is pop up in your feed every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, in a few days, on September 3rd, we have a bout in Japan between unbridled pound for pound generational great, the Japanese monster Naoya Inoue, versus the Irishman, Aussie expat, TJ the Power Doheny. In this video, we're going to be going over their careers. I'm going to focus more specifically on what have they done for us lately. We're going to talk about their last 5 fights, who have they fought, how they've gone about their business. We're then going to create a statistic we call strength of schedule by adding up each fighter's opponent's record on the night that they fought said fighter, and we're going to get a statistic. We're then going to move a little bit forward and talk about their styles, how they match up against each other. We're gonna give you the Vegas odds and end the video with also a prediction. Considering this fight's happening in a few days, I'm gonna tell you where to put your money at and how this fight will end. Guys, Doheny has spent the last few fights of his career in Japan. This is a guy that has the nickname The Power for a reason. He's a notable knockout artist and he has huge knockout power in both hands. The thing is, he's 37 years old. His last 3 fights have taken place in Japan, so he's comfortable with the surroundings. He's 3-0 in his last 5 with 3 knockouts. Obviously, when you have a guy like Inoue, all the fans want to see him fight the best of the best. No knock on Doheny, but where he's at in his career, it's probably safe to say he's seen better days regarding his potential and his prime. He is ranked 13th in the world, and stay tuned later on in this video. We're going to talk about the respect or lack thereof that Vegas has given him regarding a chance to win and beat Inoue. With Inoue, we last saw him fight against Neary. We saw him overcome some adversity. He got dropped in the first round, and then he came back and dropped Neary right back, and then eventually knocked him out in the 6th round in typical Inoue fashion. He's aggressive, he's technical, he's brutal, and he's flashy. He's a guy who isn't only just a knockout artist, but he wants to entertain the fans. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm also going to dispel a false narrative that's been put out there by boxing casuals about Inoue regarding where he chooses to fight. Now let's take a closer look at TJ Doheny. Guys, TJ Doheny's 26-4 with 20 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 77% career knockout to win ratio and is currently ranked number 13th in the world at 122 pounds. The 37-year-old Irishman is a southpaw standing at 5'5" with a 68-inch reach, and his adoring fans know him as The Power. He last fought Bril Bayagos, who was 7-0, knockout in the 4th. Lamido, 11-0, knockout in the 1st. Nakajima, 14-1, knockout in the 4th. Sam Goodman, 13-0. TJ lost this fight to UD in the 10th. Cesar Juarez, 27-10, knockout in the 2nd. Some other interesting facts about TJ Doheny's career: he has a record of 2-1 in world title fights with 1 knockout. He's also 2-1 against former, current, and future world champions. Some big wins of his were against Sutep Wangmik and Risoko Iwasa. If you add up all 5 of his last opponents on the night that they fought TJ, you'll get a record of 72-11, which is an 87% strength of schedule on the night that his opponents fought TJ. And in his 5 fights, he's 4-1 with 4 knockouts. Guys, going into this fight, he's a huge underdog. Ranked number 13th in the world, people want to see matchups that are producing a bit better odds than 20-1. This is what Vegas has put TJ, meaning that if you put $100 on TJ, you'll get over 2,000 back. His only loss in his last 5 was against Australian Sam Goodman, who's ranked number 3 in the world. This was a 10-round affair. This was on the undercard of the Tony Harrison Tim Tszyu fight in Sydney. I was actually at this fight, and when you watch TJ go about his business, he's a traditional knockout artist, but against Sam Goodman, the younger fighter, the quicker fighter, you got to see that his game plan wasn't enough. His skill set, his feet, he didn't have the speed to catch Goodman, and Goodman outboxed him for 10 rounds. Going into this fight against Inoue, he's not going to have an opportunity, in my opinion, to outbox him. Inoue is going to lure him into a dogfight and a firefight, which he always does. And the only thing, if you're a TJ fan, you could probably hang your hat on, in his total career, Doheny has never been knocked out. So it's something to think about going into this fight. Now let's take a closer look at Naoya Inoue. Guys, Naoya Inoue's 27-0 with 24 knockouts. He's currently ranked #1 in the world at 122 pounds and has an 89% career knockout to win ratio. He has all the belts at 122 pounds, and the 31-year-old Japanese fighter is a 5'5" orthodox fighter with a 67.5-inch reach, and his adoring fans call him the Monster. We last saw him fight Luis Nery, 35-1, knockout in the 6th. Marlon Topola's 37-3, knockout in the 10th. Fulton, 21-0, knockout in the 8th. Butler, 34-2, knockout in the 11th. Nonito Doheny, 42-6, knockout in the 2nd. Before we move on, a few other interesting facts about Inoue's career regarding big title fights. He's beaten 19 different fighters in world title fights, 18 of them coming by way of knockout. He's 14-0 with 12 knockouts against former or current world champions, excluding secondary or regular belts. He's the first fighter to become undisputed in the 4-belt era at 118 pounds, and he's also the second fighter ever, other than Terrence Crawford, to become undisputed in 2 different divisions. Now let's grab our calculators up and add up his last 5 fights. His opponents on the night that they fought Inoue, you get a career record of 169 wins and 12 losses, giving Inoue's opponents a 93% strength of schedule. He's 5-0 in those last 5 fights with 5 knockouts. Guys, Naoya Inoue is a generational talent. When it's all said and done, he is a Hall of Famer, and he's a bona fide knockout artist. 27 wins, 24 knockouts. He's not a boring fighter either. This guy will surely happily engage you in a firefight if you have enough courage to stand in the middle with him. We saw this approach backfire on Nery in his last fight, and Inoue knocked him out brutally in the 6th round after having been down himself in the 1st. The thing about Inoue, which I like, is that he'll make adjustments in the fight. He's not a guy that'll stick to his laurels or get too confused in the chaos. Look at that last fight against Nery. Gets dropped in the 1st due to his guard being low, which is a rare thing to see in boxing, especially at 122 pounds. Vegas has this fight crazy. Like I said, 20-1 odds. You put $100 on Inoue, you get $1 in return. So regarding gambling, I wouldn't even put money on this fight. I would stay away from it if you're an Inoue fan, just because the yield in return isn't much, unless you're picking a knockout in a specific round. Vegas has this: if you pick Inoue to knock Doheny out anywhere in the fight, you only get $7 back on a $100 bet. If you pick a specific round, those odds go up substantially, but not a lot. A rumor I'd like to dispel real quick before I let you go and give you my prediction is the fact that if you look at all the boxing forums, the boxing blogs, and you'll see haters and boxing casuals say Inoue never fights outside of his hometown. He never leaves Japan to fight. Well, if you date back to the Nieves fight in 2017, he's fought 14 times. He's 14-0 with 13 of those wins coming by knockout, and in those 14 wins, he fought 4 times outside of Japan, 3 times in the US, once in Glasgow. Do the math, stats don't lie. That's 26% of his fights since 2017 happened outside of Japan. So if you're an Inoue fan and over the next few weeks you hear people try to say, oh, he's afraid to fight outside of Japan, tell them they're wrong. Also, his last fight against Nery in Japan, how many people he fought in front of? 55,000 people. What other fighter in any weight class, let alone at 122 pounds, could put 55,000 people in the seats to see their star fight? Inoue can, and he does it in Japan. Guys, I'm predicting a knockout. This will be TJ Doheny's first time going down. I think it's gonna happen early just because of how brave Doheny is. He's gonna welcome that firefight. He probably feels the only way he has a chance of winning is by puncher's chance. They call him the power for a reason. He's not gonna game plan to fight Inoue to win a decision. I'm saying 1st through 4, somewhere along there. It'll happen early. Inoue will improve to 28-0 with 25 knockouts, and we'll turn the page and see who's next. Nothing against Doheny. It's a bad matchup where he's at in his career. At 37 years old, the former champion has had a great career, and it's good to see him get another good payday. Guys, in the comments section below, if you agree with me, let me know that. If you disagree with me, let me know that. Whatever it is, leave it below. Now let's look at Inoue's last fight against Luis Nery. In this fight, in the 1st round, Nery came out on fire, and this was when Inoue got dropped. Let's have a look at that. Guard is low, angle change, pushes off, and Nery catches him with a beautiful check hook. Notice this in slow motion. Watch Inoue's guard. Both of his hands are down in the pocket. Uses